Imagine a region where rockets launch, tech giants expand, and real estate demand explodes. I'm Phil Kruse, and welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle. Just an hour east of Orlando is Florida's Space Coast, and what's brewing there could be Central Florida's biggest growth engine over the next decade. In this episode, we'll dive into Orlando's game changing Space Coast. We'll discuss who the major players are in Orlando's Space Coast and some newly announced major growth, how we can expect the continued space boom to affect our real estate market, and UCF's role in feeding the Space Coast talent. UCF being, of course, the University of Central Florida, based right here in Orlando. But before we dig into all those interesting details, I am a real estate agent, and one of my main lead sources are listeners like you. So when it's your time to make a major real estate decision, think of me, Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K. Kruse. A portion of all my commissions go to charity. I volunteer at the New Image Youth Center right here at Paramore. I love donating my charity, my commissions portion of it to that charity. Follow me on YouTube, hit the bell, like and subscribe, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you're listening to this stuff. Follow me. I drop new episodes every Monday. Turn on your notifications and follow me on social media. I provide all kinds of interesting, entertaining, and useful information about Orlando, about the real estate market, about different things going on in Orlando. I have a Friday post letting you know my 5 favorite things going on every weekend. So I'd be happy to help you with all that. Make sure you follow me. Now, moving forward, imagine when you were a kid looking up at the stars with all the wonder and awe that comes with being little. Did you ever dream of going up there like I did? What if that dream led you to a career in the space industry? Odds are you would have gone through UCF to accomplish and realize that dream. But why? Why would it be UCF and not some other school that you went through? Well, in 1961, John F. Kennedy Jr., JFK, announced that we would be putting man on the moon because it's hard, right? We'd be putting man on the moon by the end of the 60s, and nobody thought that was possible. That was in 61. In 1963, UCF was founded. Is that a coincidence? No. Of course, back then, when that university was founded, it was called Florida Technical University. The reason it's not a coincidence is because it was founded literally to support the Space Coast, which was established over there in Cape Canaveral, just east of Orlando. Perfect spot. We've never looked back. UCF is now one of, if not the largest university in the entire country. And our main focus still to this day is engineering and technology. Yes, we have the Rosen School of Hospitality Management over there supporting Disney. Yes, we have a medical school now in Lake Nona in the medical city over there. And yes, we are amazing. Can you tell I'm a homer? Go Knights, charge on. I graduated from UCF with a mechanical engineering degree. Okay. UCF has been in the game for so long with the space industry that they're partnered with all the major players over there. You're talking NASA, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Lockheed Martin. These are partners that UCF has already established and has channels to provide talent, to provide internships. I mentor UCF students every semester, excluding the summer, and many of them get internships with companies like Lockheed Martin, like Northrop Grumman, and other contractors that build and supply parts and knowledge and all kinds of stuff to NASA and SpaceX, or they can work directly for SpaceX. UCF has special programs like the Florida Space Institute. You want to work in space? You want to work for these companies? Go to UCF. They got programs like Space Florida and related incubation programs for entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs that want to figure out how they can start their own space-related company. We have the Creel Center for Optics and Lasers. This is a world-renowned center for those sorts of technologies, optics and lasers. We've already produced many successful companies from entrepreneurs that have come out of that school. One in particular is Luminar. It's based right there in Research Park, right behind UCF. They're a publicly traded company, and they make LiDAR sensors amongst other things that are used for autonomous vehicles. Did you know that Orlando is a budding hub for autonomous vehicle research? We have a test track built over in Osceola County that is designed just to test autonomous vehicles, and we have multiple LiDAR, radar, other sensor companies here in Orlando. And then we got, of course, Tech City down there, Neo City down near Kissimmee, which is built all around semiconductor manufacturing. I got episodes on all of that here on my podcast, so make sure you check out my library. Luminar is also doing an innovative fiber optic. Excuse me, the founder of Luminar has peeled off and started his own company, another company, where they're doing an innovative fiber optic technology where they're transferring information and energy through fiber optic cables, but instead of it being glass or fiber, it actually has air in it. I don't know how it works. It's going to be amazing. Jason, the founder of Luminar and this new company, he's a genius, and he's a UCF grad from the Creole Center. Not to mention, we have UCF, that's obvious. But did you know we also have FIT over in Melbourne? Much smaller school, but it's the Florida Institute of Technology. It's actually where my parents met, believe it or not. My dad went there for business, even though it was a technical school. Go figure. That's my dad. He's a genius, right? And he was a Pike fraternity guy and met my mom there. Obviously, I'm grateful for that because I wouldn't be here otherwise. And we have the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona. As the name implies, obviously supports aeronautics, and that is a space-related technology or space-related path. These tech programs and degrees, they support other local businesses too, right? So you could go originally for a space, but maybe you don't get a job and you come out and you work locally as an engineer or some other capacity supporting all the other amazing things we have here in Orlando. These are all high-paying jobs, okay? You come out of school, you're making great money, and if you stick with a company quickly or play the game right with relationships, you're making six figures pretty darn quick. And now you're supporting the rest of Orlando's consumer economy, going out to dinner, buying houses and so forth. More on that later. Now, did you dream of working for NASA growing up or becoming an astronaut? Today, our kids can dream of working for any of a number of NASA-like companies or aspire to start their own space-centered company. It's there. We're getting this information every day. And if they reach that goal, they'll probably stay right here in Central Florida. Why? Who are the major players on the Space Coast that your son or daughter may end up working for or wanting to support in an entrepreneurial venture? And how will the presence of these companies affect real estate now and in the future? So let's start by who's actually trying to launch people into space, right? Obviously, we have NASA. Everyone knows about NASA. Look, we've all watched Apollo 11. It's a great movie. We know about NASA. Blue Origin. Okay, maybe you know a little bit less about Blue Origin. Blue Origin is a company, a rocket company, competing with SpaceX, trying to put people into space. Did you know that Jeff Bezos, who owns Blue Origin, yes, Jeff Bezos from Amazon, he just launched Katy Perry, his wife, his new wife, amongst others, into space as a publicity stunt to try and bolster space tourism. So now you've got companies like Blue Origin that are pivoting. So yeah, it's great to supply NASA. It's great to supply the space station. It's great to have people pay us millions and billions of dollars to launch payloads into outer space and satellites. But what if we could charge people $1 million or whatever it is to go into space for a few minutes? That's where Blue Origin is headed. And what can that mean for real estate, right? You talk about Airbnbs for Disney. Imagine an Airbnb for celebrities that are coming in town or want rent a house or get involved in that whole sub business of space tourism. I mean, who knows where that can go? That can be massive, especially as the technology continues to evolve. There was one company that was trying to start a company one entrepreneur that's trying to start a company to send a hot air balloon into outer space attached to a giant tether, and it would float all the way up into like the first atmosphere of outer space. So you can see the Earth's curvature and have business meetings. There'd be a bar, you can get drunk watching, the curvature of the Earth. It'd be nuts. So that stuff's coming. Of course, we have SpaceX and good old Elon. Love him or hate him, he's a super interesting guy. And obviously has started a very successful company. I have multiple friends that work for SpaceX. And you have Boeing, okay? We all think of Boeing, we think of airplanes, right? Boeing is a major player in the space industry. That's why their stock price is so freaking high. They have 2,500 employees. They're one of Central Florida's largest employers. And they are supporting NASA helping them to design their specific spacecraft to launch people into space. Okay. And there are a number of other companies, of course, in that fold. But I want to highlight just one more because I think it's really cool on a personal level. Relativity Space. Have you heard of 3D printers? 3D printers are really cool, right? You may have seen them. Maybe your kid brings one home from school, a little trinket they made with 3D printer where a box uses liquid plastic or metal and squirts down a shape and it looks perfectly like a little pony, right? But what if we could use 3D printers to print entire rockets? Did you know they're using 3D printers to make houses now too? I'm, loosely involved with a company out of Brazil that has 3D printer technology that they're trying to bring to the US. They're looking for investors. And there's already an outfit based in the Rockledge, Melbourne-ish area that's already building 3D printed houses. Imagine a gigantic rig, quote unquote, walking or wheeling itself around in slow, methodical, rectangular shaped circles, slowly just squirting down beads of concrete, building a house. Okay, they're going to use the same kind of technology to build 3D rockets, including the jet engines. It's nuts. Relativity Space goal, their stated goal, is to have 100% of the entire rocket printed via 3D printing and ready to launch within 60 days of receiving the raw material. If they can somehow hit that mark, you're going to drive down the cost of space exploration, and potentially they can sell those rockets to companies like Blue Origin and other burgeoning space tourism or whatever else companies. And that's all happening right here in our backyard, 1 hour from Orlando. We even have a Space Force base. Did you know that? Patrick Air Force Base, just south of Cocoa Beach, was changed to a Space Force base. We only have 6 Space Force bases in the entire United States, including around the world. And we got one of them, 1 hour. You go drive down 528, you're in Cocoa Beach in an hour, head south 20 minutes, you're at Patrick Space Force Base. How cool is that? It's almost too much space. And here in Orlando, we get to have all of it. We get to live in Orlando and we get to have access to Kennedy Space Center. We can go drive over there and watch the rockets launch from bleachers, and your whole body shakes. If you've never had an opportunity to do that, you got to check it out. You got to take the kids. That's another thing about space tourism. Now, imagine if you were starting your own company, your own space company. Do you think you'd want to come here to Florida? How about to Orlando? Right next to all your potential customers, like the companies I just mentioned above or below, previously. You can buy your products. You're right next to all the infrastructure needed to launch into space. The railroads are there. You got our port. Port Canaveral was built originally to support the Space Coast. I mean, it got basically taken over by the government to support NASA in the 60s. All right. It's the second largest cruising port in the entire world, only behind Miami. Florida is the best. So if you want to start your company here, if you wanted to start a space related company, you would want to come to Florida. You would probably go to the Space Coast or Orlando. And we have no state income tax. So all your employees could come here, make great money, not have to pay the man, and everything's great. So where would all these employees live anyway? Hey, I am a real estate agent, right? How does this all tie into real estate? Have you ever heard of Rocket City? No, I'm not talking about some futuristic city you've seen in the book where everybody lives in rockets and they can fly around. That's not what, that sounds pretty cool. Rocket City is located east of Orlando, going down State Road 50, aka Colonial, heading towards Titusville, heading east. It was platted the same year JFK made his iconic announcement in 1961. Again, coincidence? No. It was specifically platted, meaning laid out by the county. Platted means you go on a map and you design all the shapes of the lots and the lot sizes and all, and the rules and regulations for the lots. That's what platting means. They did it the same year. It was literally designed and platted to support NASA employees because JFK's vision was so big that he imagined that this would catapult us into an entire future of space exploration. And he was right in a lot of aspects, but that, the Cold War and different things kind of poured cold water on the whole momentum. But it was platted for that reason. It's still there. It's now called Wedgefield. So if you've heard of Wedgefield, that is called Rocket City underneath, and it still is to this day. If you look at what the parcels are really named, it's complicated, but the word Rocket City is in there. So you can live out there, super close, 30 minutes from where NASA is. But of course, we have more options now. Back in the 60s, Orlando was practically nothing. It was, well, not nothing, but it was very small, and certainly we didn't have all the suburbs that we have now. And Orlando is the closest major city to the Space Coast. Nobody can argue that. Titusville is right there, much smaller, right on the coast there in the Indian River. And of course, you have Cocoa Beach and Merritt Island south a lot of people that work for NASA, SpaceX, and some of these other space companies live in Cocoa Beach and Merritt Island. My parents' next door neighbor is a SpaceX engineer. A few houses down across the street, a friend of mine, SpaceX engineer, lives there. Another buddy, I mean, a lot of them live there. I guess I don't need to list them all here for you. But point is people aren't going to, you can't live right there. You got to live somewhere close by, and you're always going to be driving at least a half hour. But if you're in Orlando, maybe it's an hour you get there. Now, the UCF area is growing, of course. They just announced UCF last year in 2024. They announced that they're investing millions. I think it was over $10 million, probably more than that. They're investing just to hire more professors and build a few more buildings to support the engineering and tech programs, in large part to become the biggest engineering school in the country. They're going to really try hard. Do you think that's going to benefit the space program? Of course it is. These are more high-paid professors that are teaching technical aspects, probably coming from industry. They're going to want to live near UCF. So you can expect the UCF and surrounding real estate to go up in value a little bit more than some of the other neighborhoods as this stuff continues to progress. More parents are wanting to buy investment properties in and around UCF. It makes a lot of sense. If you're a successful parent and you've saved and made enough money and you're sending your kid to UCF, you know they're going to be paying rent. And if you've listened to any of my podcasts before about real estate and about investing and about rent and why you should buy versus renting, if you rent a property, you're just throwing money away, right? You're paying, call it $2,000 a month or whatever it is, $3,000 a month every month, and that money can never come back. That's the cost of living, okay? If you buy a house and you pay your mortgage at $3,000 a month or $3,500 a month, that money is going towards paying off your house. Yes, some of it goes towards interest, a lot of it. But when you sell your house, you're going to get that principal payment back. And we can talk about different strategies if you want to contact me about how to reduce all that, pay off your house faster, have more of your money go to principal, etc. But bottom line is you're investing in yourself when you own, and parents know that. So they're going to buy a house near UCF. They're going to rent it out to their own kid and his or her buddies, make a little bit of money off their buddies' rent. And then when their kids move out, bang, they have a nice cash flowing asset, especially if they buy it cash, right there that is going to always be rented. And guess who pays that rent? It's not the college kids, it's their parents. Okay. So yeah, it might be iffy to have college kids renting your house as far as damages and stuff, but you know that the parents are sending the checks every single week, or now the Venmo, right? And you can charge them if the kids destroy the property. So that's only going to continue. And you're seeing prices. I just put a home under contract today as of this recording for that exact same thing. The kids coming to UCF, their parents are buying a townhome over there for this exact reason. The more affluence and job diversity, like tech and space jobs, the better. Orlando is so much more than hospitality and Disney. UCF is a huge part of that. Our housing market and local economy is insulated from greater downturns due to this economic diversity. If we have Disney and hospitality, which is oftentimes recession proof, the affluent folks are still coming here on vacation. You have this Space Coast. You have these other headquarters here in Orlando. You have all this innovation and entrepreneurship happening. It's just a great, great city living. Again, no state income tax, and you have people moving here. Over 1,000 people a day are moving to Florida. And if you imagine that as a pie, the biggest pie wedge is Orlando. We're the fastest growing city for all the people moving here. It's amazing. So in addition, just to kind of make you understand a little bit more of how this is going to work moving forward, there's so many other ancillary economic booms and benefits to the continued growth of the space program. So it was just announced this week that a 1.1 million square foot industrial facility is going to be built just 10 miles from the Kennedy Space Center. Now that's such a big building or grouping of buildings that it's really impossible for any of us to visualize. Let me put it this way. It's going on a 100-acre parcel of land, okay? That's how big this sucker is going to be. And it's literally being built and designed just to support businesses that are going to be supporting the Space Coast. It's projected to create over 900 jobs, okay? And then large businesses are going to move in, locking in high-paying technical jobs, locking in more affluent home buyers that want to live in Orlando. Did you know it's only 50 minutes, 50, to get from UCF to Kennedy Space Center? If you live in some of these other major cities, Dallas, LA, Miami, the traffic to drive from your house in the suburbs, Atlanta, forget it. To drive from any of these major cities, the traffic's crazy. So what's the difference between driving from UCF or from Orlando to the Space Coast and back versus living in a city with crazy congestion? Not much, in my opinion. Look, or you already know this. I think Orlando is the greatest city in the United States, and we're only getting better. Okay. We have the Space Coast that supports us in so many ways. And of course, while you're over there, you might as well go to the beach, go to Cocoa Beach, right? It's only an hour drive. I grew up in Miami. All right. I grew up in the suburbs of Miami. Everyone says, oh, Miami's a beach town. It took me 45 minutes to an hour to get to South Beach. And there isn't a lot of beaches in Miami. A lot of people don't realize that. You got to drive to get to the beach. So we're closer to beaches than a lot of people think. You got the cruising port, take a cruise, hop into Disney, no state income taxes, house prices that are still way lower than a lot of the major metropolitan cities in and around the United States. People are going to keep coming here. People are going to keep buying real estate. And if that's you, or you want to sell to one of those people because you need to move up or move out, move in an in-law, we got the baby on the way, think of me. Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K, Kruse. I got your back. If you're looking to sell, that's what I specialize in. I'm a listing agent, and I can help your home sell, not just at the highest price, but fast by utilizing something called the auction effect. You need better marketing strategies in today's market where it's become more balanced between buyers and sellers. Buyers have a lot more leverage nowadays. You need an experienced agent that can help you understand how this is going to work. We can still make bidding wars happen and drive the price up to higher than you think. And there's strategies about that I can help you with. Like and subscribe to my podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell. All right, if you're listening, whatever, you know what to do. And follow me on all my social media platforms. I'm especially active on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Okay, lots of useful content to help you understand more about Orlando, enjoy your time here, figure out things to do with your family, and obviously be up to date on the real estate market. And always know that your best life in Orlando is within reach. Keep embracing every moment. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You have a great day.